Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Drinks with Johnny. Today, I am joined by the singer of Islander, Mikey. Man, how the hell are you doing today? Let's start there.
I'm good, bro. I'm a little loopy right now, just to be completely honest. I haven't slept in over 24 hours. We're doing like everything in-house now as a band, and I'm actually editing our music videos. I have been up editing this video nonstop, and then this morning at 8 o'clock, I had to go get a steroid injection in my knee because I tore my meniscus. And so yeah, I'm rolling with the punches right now. Just getting ready for a tour, and you know the drill. Chaos before the tour starts.
Well, dude, I'm sorry that you tore your meniscus. Let's start there. How the hell did you manage to do that? What, were you trying to pull some moves in the ring or what?
About a year and a half ago, we were on some festival, and they had these big speakers, and I climbed up the speakers and dove off like I always do. And I remember I hit my knee in a kind of a weird way, but we did some dates with Norma Jean after that, and I noticed every time I went to like get down on my knees, like with the crowd, my knee would like pop in and out of place, and it just kind of started doing that worse and worse. And then 2 weeks ago, I guess, I was actually sitting right here, and I was turning like this in my computer, and my knee did the thing, and then it didn't go back. And so then I went and had a MRI and everything done, and I've been having like a cane. It looks like a pimp cane, but I've been having a cane I'm walking with every day. But it's starting to feel better, man. So I'm grateful. I know that if it stays at the point it's at right now, we can have a good tour. So
well, fingers crossed on that. We're just hoping for that tour. I know you guys are as we're recording right now, it'll be a little while before the people get to hear and see this, but you guys are about to go out on a tour here in May, right?
Yeah, we're doing a run with Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. Also, Limbs and Salt Wound are on the bill, so it's going to be a fun time. Maylene hasn't toured in like 10 years, and they asked us if we wanted to come out when they got their feet wet again, and we were like, heck yeah, dude. So we're jumping in with them, and then we have like half a month off after that, and then we're doing a tour that hasn't been announced yet, so I can't say anything.
Well, you can announce it now. It'll probably be announced by the time this episode comes out. Or we could just take it out.
Yeah,
or,
probably.
Okay.
Well, no, I'll just say it. Who cares anymore? We live in the digital world. We're going out. We're doing a support tour with Lacey Sturm from Flyleaf. Cool. So we're gonna be doing some stuff with her, and then festivals and lining stuff up for the rest of the year for this record. So.
Sturm. Okay, I'm so glad that you brought up Lacey. I know that obviously formerly of Flyleaf. You guys have had her on a feature at least one time before, and you're also doing the Whosoever charity thing, right? Did I say that right? Is it Whosoever?
Yes, the Whosoevers. It's I'm not like somebody that's like one of the decision makers of the group or anything like that. It's just some people that believe God has done stuff in their life for the good, and just going into schools and prison, sex trafficking, making awareness for that kind of stuff. So just trying to love on people where they're at, not trying to push anything down their throats or anything like that. Just loving on people, man, no matter what it is that they believe, what they're going through. We're all human beings just trying to make it in this world. That's actually what the song we did with Lacey is called. It's Not Easy Being Human, because at the end of the day, we're all dealing with our own stuff, and we're just trying to do the best we can. So
that is very true, man. We're all just trying to do the best we can. But I'm glad you said her last name's Sturm, because I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. I've never met Lacey before. I've been a big fan of her music for a lot of years. But speaking of not being able to pronounce last names, Mikey, how do you pronounce your last name? Because every time I'm going to give it a try. Carvajal.
That's close.
Is it J?
So yeah, it's I'm Dominican, so it's Carvajal. But the real way way to say it is Carvajal, but most people can't say that, so we just say Carvajal. So Mikey Carvajal. So
we're gonna go with Mikey C today because I don't want to do
the
very American way, and I can't do the Dominican way. Yeah. So we'll find a middle.
Dude, absolutely. When I'm home from, I'm sorry, I was just gonna say when I'm home.
No, you go ahead, man. You go ahead.
When I'm home from tour now, I've never told anybody this, like in the press or anything. But about 3 months ago, we had enough time off to where I was like, you know what, I've got to do something. I'm going crazy. So I started teaching in our town. So the kids, I don't even try to get them to pronounce my name. I just say Mr. C, and we roll with that. And some of the kids have found out that like what I do for an actual living. So they've found out that they could Google me, and now it's getting really awkward because now they're all, anytime I show up at the school, everybody's just talking about music or trying to get an autograph. I mean, it's gotten kind of funny. I should probably make a TikTok about it.
You might want to do that. Yeah. Also, do they ask about like,
Yeah.
Now that they know that you're their teacher and you're also Mikey of Islander, and you've done over the time, you've done music videos with different kind of face paint on. Do you ever just show up for one of your classes just ready to go with some face paint on?
No, I should do that.
Don't take advice from me, Mikey. That's something you're going to learn. We just started the conversation. Last thing you need to do is take advice from me.
No, I'm sure that's not true, man. I got into I'm not a teacher. I have a passion for the youth.
Okay.
And my wife, she used to be the dean of students at a boarding school in Indiana, and it turned into an all boys boarding school at one point. And when the pandemic hit and nobody was able to tour, they offered me a position to work with the boys. And one of the boys actually was, I guess it doesn't matter because I'm not gonna tell who it is or whatever, but it was Jonathan Davis's son from Korn. And just working with him and some of the other kids that were there, I really got my finger on the pulse of what is kind of going on with the youth these days, more than just playing music, getting to have real conversations and stuff. So that's kind of something I found I have a passion for, just having those conversations and trying to be somebody in their life that's a good influence rather than all the craziness that they see going on in the world all the time. I just want to be somebody that's there to say, like, I don't have the answers. I just know that I can be a good ear and just be somebody that hopefully they can look. Not that I'm some good, great, whatever, but I try to live my life the best I can, and I just want them to see that, somebody that is in a rock band or whatever can still do not only normal things, but just that we are normal in general. Like, it's not about doing normal things. We're just normal people in general. So,
yeah. Well, that's cool, man. Giving back a little bit, as we talked about in your off time. But at the top of this, you mentioned you guys are super busy. You just did what's the music video you just were filming and putting together?
So I'm sure people have seen it by now. I'm sure it's out, but it's for a new song from our record, Grammy Nominated. The song is called "Ritual of Death." And
oh yes, I wanted to ask about this song. I'm so glad that's the music video for it. Before you get into the music video, then, since it was something I wanted to ask about, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
I did read that the inspiration for this was the West Memphis Three, and I've heard of this before because it was big time news back in the day, and especially these days with all the murder podcasts out there, the true crime world and everything, and its popularity. I'm sure that you've heard that the West Memphis Three has been covered a couple of times, but you guys were also talking about raising awareness to it. So, and I'm a layman. I know the words and I know kind of what happened. Maybe as you're going into this music video and talking about this song, you can shed some light for me here on what exactly the West Memphis Three is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys can hear my dog barking in the background, I'm so sorry. He's just being a butthead. He wants me to come out there and play.
What kind of dog? What kind of dog is it?
It's a little Chihuahua.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to have a Chihuahua mixed with a min pin. He was quite a yapper. Long live Rocky.
Nice. Yeah. This one yaps. We used to have one that passed away sadly, but the other one didn't yap. So, but anyways, the West Memphis Three. It is something that stems from a terrible thing that happened in 1993, where 8-year-old boys in a small town of West Memphis, Arkansas, went for a bike ride and went to play, and they never came home. And they found their bodies the next day, naked and hogtied in a drainage ditch in the woods. And they ended up charging and convicting 3 teenagers without any evidence tying them to the crime. Literally in the courtroom, they were using things like Metallica music, like their lyrics, and Stephen King novels, and the fact that the kids church as the thing that should convict them of murder. It was a big time of the satanic panic movement where everybody was freaking out about, anything that was rock and roll, or even like shows like Dungeons and Dragons or Masters of the Universe. Like people just were losing their minds in the 80s and 90s about that. And yeah, they were in a small town. They were the different kids, and they were the easy ones to pinpoint, and that's what happened. They got railroaded. And this documentary came out on HBO in, I believe, 96, and people found out, like, oh my gosh, these kids have been in prison this whole time, and it doesn't seem like they did it. So I started doing my own research, looking at all the court documents online. There's a website called Callahan that you can find all that stuff at, and yeah, it just doesn't look like they did it. But now we have a way to test the evidence, and Arkansas actually shut down the idea of testing the evidence of like the local court judge, and then the Supreme Court of Arkansas just this, like, I want to say 6 or 7 days ago, said no, they have the right to test the evidence with new technology. And the ones that are pushing for the evidence to be tested are the 3 that were convicted. And it's funny because I'm like, why do people still, there's some people that still believe that they're guilty, and none of us know what happened that day, but it's very interesting that the people that everybody, like, oh, they're guilty, like, why are they the only ones screaming test the evidence? So to me, that's just yeah. And also, it's tested, they were let out of prison on something called an Alford plea, which lets them maintain their innocence while still they have to confess guilt, and then they let him out of prison. So they let him out of prison in 2011. They said, look, just say that we have enough to convict you and we'll let you walk. So it's really backwards.
That's interesting. So, wow. So these 3 teenagers ended up, there's the dog. So these,
yeah, he wasn't going to leave me alone.
Oh, that's perfect. Put him in the lap. But yeah, back to this, I have some questions here. So these three teenagers that were convicted back in 1993 spent 18 years in prison for presumably something that they never did. They admitted, as you said, they admitted guilt to get out. Are you in contact with these 3? I mean, you said that you just found out like 6 days ago. They're going to be able to use this new technology to, hopefully without a shadow of a doubt, either prove or disprove their innocence. Yeah. Have you reached out to these guys? Now you have a song about it coming out and everything like that.
Yeah. So the whole idea with the song, we were going to use it to make a petition to test the evidence, and we were going to have everybody sign it. We were going to get all of our friends to promote it because, they have a lot of support. Jonathan Davis from Korn. There's tons of people. Johnny Depp, but I hit up one of the boys that was convicted, or he's a man now, but at the time he was a teenager. His name's Damian Eccles. I hit him up and I said, I don't do anything or make any moves without you knowing, what this is and having your blessing. And he was like, dude, thank you so much for raise awareness for this. And that was a couple weeks ago. And then like 7 days ago, they got the news that the Supreme Court was like, they can test the evidence. And I'm like, okay, so the narrative of the song has to change now as far as what we were going to, thankfully the song's not about like, please test the evidence, but the song is from the point of view of the boys that were murdered as they were being murdered. And after, it's basically them saying, hey, don't stop looking for whoever did this. Stay hopeful that we're going to find these people, because the boys deserve justice, and so do the ones that were railroaded, and so do the parents that of the families, even the ones that think the West Memphis Three killed these kids or whatever. Everybody just deserves to know the truth of what happened. And so yeah, we're just now we're just using the song to raise awareness. There's still a lot of work to be done in the case. The reason, by the way, I'm passionate about the case is because when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, this could have been me and my friends like when we were in high school or whatever. Like we were the kids wearing, the black t-shirts and going to shirts and stuff, having dreadlocks in our hair or whatever. Man, wrong place, wrong time in a certain little small town, and this could easily be us. So that's kind of the thing that pulled me in and gotten into a lot of true crime.
Yeah,
So
man. I mean, that's super. So, as you mentioned, yes, it's important that hopefully you get to the bottom and figure out hopefully find the people that did it. If these three boys or three men now,
yeah,
as you said, were innocent. As you mentioned, though, they got out in 2011, so it's been 13 years that they've been out. I'm just curious, and maybe you don't know, and that's okay. But how are they doing? I mean, they're 18 years from teenage years is obviously a long time, and it sucks. But I wonder if they're able to, were they able to get out, get a job, go back to school, those kind of things? Or they finish school in jails, as some people have done in the past? Do you know any of these questions?
so I know that one of the boys, Jesse Miss Kelly Jr., he's gone back to his same street, I believe, that he grew up on, and he's trying to stay out of the limelight. And one of the boys named Jason Baldwin, he started I don't want to I don't want to call it a company or whatever, but something basically a mission called the Proclaim Justice, and he's going to study law, and that's what he's been doing so that he can hopefully change things to where this doesn't happen to other people. And also Damian Eccles, they considered the ringleader. He has written several books. He ended up doing some movies with Peter Jackson. Um, so yeah, they've got to, you know, I guess make money here and there as far as book stuff, but they're still on paper convicted murderers, even though they're free. So they're just on a mission to get exonerated.
Wow, man. I mean, that's super interesting. I
Yeah,
mean, as I said, I kind of just knew the name and knew the term. I didn't know much of the details there, and especially didn't know that they were out. So, I mean, I guess it's good that they're out. Unfortunately, they're still convicted on
yeah,
paper. Hopefully, this new evidence will help either exonerate or whatever. Maybe I don't know enough about it to say one way or the other. And as you pointed out.
yeah. You should check out the
I'm going
documentary.
to. Yeah, I wish I had before we had this chat, but now I'm even more intrigued. So I'm gonna
Good.
I'm gonna go back because yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like you've. How long did you study? Well, you mentioned that you were studying this yourself. Watched the documentary. How much time have you put into your research on the matter?
So my brother, he brought home the documentary on DVD in 2006, and you ever seen this before? He was like, it came on HBO back in the day, and I was like, no. So that's when I first saw it, and it was weird, as that was the first time I had ever witnessed somebody, their whole court experience, and then them getting put in handcuffs, and then be like, all right, we're taking you off to prison for the rest of your life, and you're going on death row. Wow, I was just sitting there completely like, wait, like where was the evidence? And it just kind of shook me. And ever since
Mm.
then, I just started looking into it more and more, and I found out that there was a website that had court documents, all of the audio from the trials, newspaper clippings, interviews, all the police suspects, and I just started going through it, like everything I could find, and just trying to kind of piece it together myself. And yeah, I don't want to say became obsessed with it, but it is something I do every single day now.
Passionate, yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting, man. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like when you're even describing it now, I'm surprised if there isn't already a Netflix special on this. I mean, it sounds right up Netflix's alley with a lot of the documentaries they put over the last decade.
Dude, I want them to, get the rights to show it, but it's an HBO, HBO on Hulu or anything like that. You can watch it there. And also, for anybody
Yeah.
listening right now on YouTube, it's free to watch the Peter Jackson documentary called West of Memphis. And I would almost say um, that's probably the second best one. I don't want to say like, oh, these are great movies or anything, but I'm saying as far as the production value, what information it shows you, that might be the best one.
Well, definitely we'll have to check those out, and you've at least rose awareness to one person here in me to look into it a little bit more. Very interesting stuff, obviously. Now, you did mention also in this that you guys got nominated for a Grammy, and this is your fourth record coming out. It's also a crowdfunded album. You guys are no longer with the label, to my understanding. Is that correct?
So most of that's correct, but we're not nominated for a Grammy. We just named our album Grammy Nominated. And because we
yeah, that goes to show how well I read.
Honestly, that's kind of did what we were hoping would happen. Everybody would just go around being like, yeah, they were nominated for a Grammy, dude.
Nice.
If you look up the definition of the word Grammy, it is someone's grandmother. So a creepy old lady on the cover of the record handing a trophy to like a little kid. So he's being Grammy nominated or whatever. And the artistic side of it, so the whole cover was done with AI. The reason we did that, and a lot of people, have their whole thing with AI, but our message with the whole thing is most people getting actual Grammys didn't write their own music. So what's the difference of AI making this album cover or whatever? So it's kind of a state. I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot to never get a Grammy if somebody sees this interview and they're like, screw that guy. But
it's all political anyway, dude. Don't worry about it. It's all political anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I know, dude. Money, money, money. I know how this game works. But yeah, it's just something we just thought would be a kind of a cool statement to say, you know what, let's just do a funny play on words. But like the album cover looks kind of scary. So yeah, I'll send you a copy.
Yes, please do. Please send me a copy because I'm very interested in this Ritual of Death song and the whole thing. So Grammy nominated, coming out here soon. I did mention there too. It was crowdfunded. Is that part correct? And, your first fully independent release. Yeah,
we've done the label thing. We've played the label game. There's been great things that have helped us as far as getting more notoriety. I don't know if we would have, gotten to certain places without a label having in magazines or radio or whatever. So in that way, we're grateful. But we started realizing over the years, we were like, man, like what's the label doing now? Like we're shooting our own, we do our own photo shoots, we're recording our own records in house. And we started just going down the list. We were like, we have our own publicist. We have a booking agent. What are they doing? And we were like, I guess the only thing I can think is like they're getting. So when we got off the label, we said, let's just be independent. We're already basically independent. So we were going to give it a shot, and we didn't know if it would work. And our family grew and funded the whole thing. And they even funded us a new van. So
nice.
We're not going to let them down. We're going to give them an awesome record. And we're gonna drive in the van that they helped us with.
Sick. What kind of van were you able to get?
We got a Chevy Express 3500. It's the same van except newer, so it's just more reliable. We hope. It's we've been touring in the same van for the last 9 years, and it has great. Okay. There's been replaced engine at one point, 3 rebuilt transmissions, and it was just time. Not gonna make it anymore. The catalytic converter fell off.
Hey, those are commodities now.
So we sounded like
are commodities now.
Oh yeah, dude, we're gonna start seeing rappers wearing them around their neck like chains and stuff.
Now I know what my new look's gonna be. I gotta get that going.
You're gonna walk up stage with a catalytic converter on.
I'm gonna have a few. I'm not just gonna have one. I gotta have a few. Just to really put it out.
Man.
You mentioned though, like the touring, and you've been touring the same van for 9 years. Let's go back a little bit to the history of Islander. I know that you guys started pretty early, and then took a little hiatus, kind of early, and then restarted it back up. And then now you're about to release your fourth record. Your brother's in the band also, Chris.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you guys formed and what goals you had in mind when you were creating music together with your brother and your friends.
So basically, the thing Islander started in 2006. The same members that ended up being Islander on the first record were became a band in 2007, and we had a different band name. We were just doing it for fun around our hometown in Greenville, South Carolina. And years later, after some of us had, gone through college or whatever, or almost gone through college, got married or whatever, we were like, hey, let's start meeting up on Thursdays and Mondays and Thursdays and just jamming out again. And we started doing that, just having fun, eat pizza. And then I said, hey, you guys cool if I book like a 10-day tour? And they were like, yeah, that's cool. So I booked like a 10-day tour. We recorded EPs and I sent them off to labels. We hit up from Bad Brains for our first EP, and he ended up, or actually our second EP, and he ended up laying down vocals, and I sent them some different labels. We got signed because they thought that was sick that we had done all this by ourselves, and we were, already all that kind of stuff. And next thing I knew, we were in the studio making a record. Then we went out on Mayhem Festival in 2014 with you guys. Yeah. So
that's where we met.
That was a great experience for us. We started noticing like the guy from Korn started watching a side stage every day. Time our single hit top 40 on the radio. And after that tour, Papa Roach invited us on tour, and it was just like we were a buzz band. We had never, planned on any of that. We were just kids having fun, and all of a sudden we were like, okay, now we have like a managed contracts and band agreements, and there ended up being some member changes because we were early on in the whole thing. And my brother, a lot of people don't, he wasn't on the first album as far as like being a band member, but he still sang on the first album, and he co-produced our first album. So he was always their tour manager. He was our merch guy. He drove us all over the place. And then he started playing synthesizers for us. And after the pandemic hit, he was home for a year, and he said, hey guys, like we don't have like a live bassist anymore. We're just running tracks for bass. And he was like, I don't like that. So I'm going to learn how to play bass. And then literally he taught himself how to play bass. I didn't believe it was going to work out. He proved me wrong. So now he's murdering it.
Well, it is just bass. I mean, coming from a bass player, anyone can pick it
up. No, his fingers are doing stuff I didn't know that he was going to be able to do. I was just, like, the other day we were shooting a music video, and he was doing everything for a new song, and I was just like, this dude's really like good. So it was kind of tripping me out.
That's cool. Well, I mean, he did have, as you mentioned, though, he did have a music acumen before. It wasn't like it was his first instrument, and I think that definitely helps. In that, though, is he your older or younger brother?
He's my older brother. He's 6.5 years older.
Okay.
And he was in bands, like, locally, too. Like, we were both separate bands. Sometimes we made music together. But mostly, like, he was a singer in a local band, and I was a singer. And, it just worked out now that we're both in this together. And it should have been that way from the get-go. He was playing bass for us before... this is what I was going to say. He was playing bass for us when we were about to just like be like a for fun band. And our guitar player at the time told me like, dude, your brother can't play bass. Like, you've got to call him and kick him out. We've got to get this other dude. And I was like, all right. So I called my brother and kicked him out. So he was actually...
You kicked your own brother out of the band?
He couldn't play,
oh
bro.
my
He
God.
But he redeemed himself, and he was, and now he can play bass amazingly. So it all worked out.
It all worked out. That's amazing.
It all worked out.
Going back to the first time we met, that 2014 Mayhem Festival. I know that was also when you mentioned you got close with the guys in Korn, and our drummer at the time, Aaron Elahai, who would later become your guys' drummer for the record Power Under Control. Take me back to that time for you guys, like 2014, like you said, Mayhem Festival with us. And then I know after Aaron had joined, I think you guys showed us the song Darkness on my bus, or he did at least, when we saw each other later on a different, we were on tour in 2015 or 16, I believe it was. And I think it was 16, and you guys were just about to release that album where it had just come out, and came up on the bus and was showing us some stuff. So walk me through a little bit of that time and how Aaron came to be in the band.
So when you guys let Aaron go, Aaron hit me. You know, we were already buds, and he knew that we needed a fill in because our fill in drummer, he only had like one more tour. We did like the Korn 20th anniversary tour with Suicide Silence and Korn, and we were gonna bring him in on that one to start filling in, but we already had our other dude, Joe Rickard. I don't know if you know him or not. He does a lot of production work. He played drums in the band Red. Um,
I've never met him.
and yeah, he's a really good guy. So yeah, after that Korn tour, I hit up Aaron and I was just like, hey, we're in headline shows. Would you be cool to fill in? He was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So he started filling in, um, and it just kind of from there. And I think what was weird, kind of strange, because we knew that Aaron came from a band that was in a bus. He had his own bedroom. I had been back there before. He showed me his room and everything on the bus, and I remember just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then he went from that to driving our van. And I just want to say this about Aaron. Aaron never, um, he never let it get to him, or at least he didn't show it to us. He never complained about the fact that we were in a van. He always just looked at it like, hey, like let's, we're building something new. I'm just grateful to be a part of something that you guys are passionate about, and so I just thought that that was really cool. That um, he just, a lot of people couldn't do that. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I don't think a lot of people could go from being in one of the biggest bands in the world. Not to give you a big head, but you guys are one of the biggest bands in the world, and you know, to jumping in a van, a smelly van, and him driving the van most of the time, and never complaining about it. If there's anything that I can say about Aaron, it's that was really cool. That was
Dude,
really
you
cool.
guys let him drive? You guys let Aaron Elhai drive that van most of
Yeah,
the time?
yeah,
You guys are braver than I thought.
dude. Yeah, man. He was a good driver, dude. He was a pretty good driver. He would he actually there was a times he would put on the Hell to the King record, and he would like
Oh.
play on the steering wheel to it, like the whole we would ask him questions. We would always be like, "What's it like playing with fire, Aaron? Get to play with fire."
I want to be
So,
in those rooms just to hear what his answers would
yeah.
be. Because I'm thinking about it. I mean, we all have nothing but love for Aaron. It just worked out creatively differently, but the man
Yeah.
and the player that he is always have great things to say about Aaron. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Played nicely for us, just creatively. We weren't on the same page at the same time. So, but I'm glad
Yeah.
that he was able
I
to do
feel
that.
that we
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we that's the same kind of thing with us. Aaron did quit. We didn't let him go like that, but um, I do remember there were times where he started wanting more to play guitar instead of the drums, and we were like, "Dude, you're such a good drummer, and we don't have another drummer for the drums." But but no, I mean, at the time
He's a good
he
guitar player,
really,
though. I remember
yeah, no,
he
he
picked
is.
up the acoustic guitar while he was with us, and the guitar in general. Well, he's out with us, and would play some stuff with Brian Sinister Gates
Yeah,
on
yeah,
on the bus and days off. Uh, Brian was teaching him some gypsy jazz chords, so he could play the rhythms, and then Brian was working on all of his gypsy jazz
dude,
solo stuff.
dude,
And yeah, I would always ask them to play me some songs when they were hanging out in the hotel room or bus. I'd say yeah, I'd
yeah.
make requests.
Oh yeah, there were many times where we were having cookouts and stuff in the recording of the Power Under Control record, and we were staying at Aaron's house actually in the garage. They made, oh, I'm trying to think like a good way to explain it. I don't know. They just made the whole garage. It didn't feel like a garage. It felt kind of like this like hippie pad, and it was just nice. Like they had blankets everywhere and these awesome mattresses that were just so comfy, and so it was kind of an inspiring place to be while we were recording the record. And he would play gypsy jazz a lot while we were doing like cookouts or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, he made himself like a little bonus
Yeah,
room, a little rec room in the out of the garage kind of
yeah.
vibe. Yeah, that's cool, man. So yeah, I didn't realize. So he left the band, and when was that? When after that cycle, or were you guys? Did you guys finish out that cycle with Aaron?
We were almost finished with the cycle, but we had I think we were in Virginia when he quit. It wasn't like I quit. It was more like we all had a conversation, and he was just in a to be home with his wife, and they had just had a baby, so that was really fresh. And
Yeah.
I never was upset with him about it or anything or mad. I just it was going to be hard to replace Aaron. He's an amazing drummer, and I didn't want the next drummer to come in and be like, that guy was in Avenged Sevenfold. How do I compete with this? And it's like, no, dude, like I try to feel that way because every person that's ever played with us has been dope. So it's just Aaron played with fire before. That's all.
Figuratively and literally, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But like I mentioned though, you guys had met up quite a bit on the Mayhem tour. I remember as well. You mentioned that he showed his room. I have to correct on that. His room on the bus. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a we had star coaches and we've had them in the past, and there is a room back there, but it's shared. I don't want him to. I don't want him to get a big head and be like, "Oh yeah, this is my room and my bus." You know, no, Aaron. No.
I thought it was his room only, bro.
I say that not teasing. You know, it is fun. Yeah, I don't remember what the bus situation was. We had star coaches and we'd all be on different buses and stuff and everything. But yeah. So I mean, what were some of your first impressions with him on that Mayhem tour? I know that you were hanging out, as you mentioned, the guys with Korn as well, and O'Brien and Fieldy. You guys were out hanging pretty often when you weren't on stage, you know. So what were some of your first impressions, and again how that made it seamless to have him fill in?
My first impressions were he was really down to earth as far as he didn't come across like, I don't know, people like they could come across as big shots or whatever, and he never did that. It was just kind of like, hey, like I come watch your set, and yeah, and he was like, all right, well, walk down the hall to make sure you're out of the way. Because one time I was standing in the hallway and I like waved to Aaron, and Big T was like, back up, and Aaron was like, I'll talk to you after. And like it was just funny because we ropes. We were just like, I don't know, like, are we allowed to go watch them on stage, side stage, or whatever? It was cool. But as far as like hanging out with Fieldy and Brian, we were having gosh, it sounds like such a cultish, like weird, like seance thing. We were having Bible studies every once in a while on that tour, and so we were meeting up, and some we believe some of the same things for the most part. We were just encouraging one another, and we weren't in there plotting to take Mayhem there and be like, "You're gonna know about Jesus." Like, no, like it was literally just there were some of us that were like, "Oh, like." It's kind of like finding somebody else who likes WCW or WWF at the time. It was like, oh, let's connect. Like,
yeah.
So for any of those that don't know wrestling stuff.
Oh, don't worry, we're getting into the wrestling stuff, and probably right.
I was gonna say, I hope we're.
Oh no.
I hope we're gonna talk about.
Oh
that.
no, that's that's the coup de grace of the conversation here. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned our mutual friend Aaron. Do you stay in contact with him much?
I don't talk to him much. And again, that's not on purpose or anything. Right. Every once in a while, we've sent each other memes and stuff. If I see what he's doing online, as far as in his life, like I'll like it. He sent me encouragement before and stuff like that. So in no way do I want people to think like because we don't text every day, we don't have a lot of love for each other. It's just we're both doing our own thing. He's got a family. He's got stuff he's working on, and I'm still out here hustling and grinding, and this baby should be driving, but
Well, I love it. All love to Aaron Hill. Honestly, good guy, good mutual friend here. And yeah, let's get into wrestling then, man. As you mentioned, WCW, WWF, WWE. Now you're wearing the Sting shirt. Yeah. That's the last place I saw you at. Yeah, pretty close to your hometown. We were in Greensboro for Sting's last match together.
Yeah, dude, that was amazing. He had invited me out like while I didn't the whole thing and be like, here's your backstage passes, just roam free or whatever. He's been he's actually one of my best friends now. I can actually say that, which is really strange because I always tell people I'm a fan of Sting. I'm friends with Steve. That's his so
right.
Yeah, he talked to people there and was like, hey, throw Islander on the screen. Like we had just done his new theme song for the video game. We did like an alternate theme song for him, that they put in the Fight Forever video
Yeah,
game.
it's Sting, and you could get it, and everyone could get it on the AEW Fight Forever video game, which I have, and I play with my son pretty often.
Dude, I love
it's
that
really
game.
Fun. And I didn't realize until this morning that you could get that song.
Yeah.
That you guys did. So I'm gonna have to go back and make sure I download that.
Yeah, it's free too. That's the way we set it up. So it's actually a free DLC for that game. So nobody worry about paying for it. But yeah, they put us on like the TV and stuff. And when we had just had dinner with Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Magnum TA, Nikita Koloff, and David Crockett. And backstage after being on TV, and Ric Flair comes up and was like, "Getting that TV time," and I'm like, "This is crazy." And then he gave me a chop, like he chopped me, and it was just nuts, man. Like, I don't know, like being backstage.
When you say, real quick, when you say you had dinner with all of them, was that back in catering?
Yeah, we all sat down and ate.
Okay, I just missed you then because I ended up sitting down with Crockett. When he was sitting there by himself for a little while afterwards. So I just missed you guys. I went back there and had a little.
Nice, yeah, it was good stuff. I had 2 pieces of salmon. It was good. Reminded me of Maine.
Yeah.
But it was weird. Like me and my brother, we were like, man, like it's like being backstage. Like all of our action figures are walking around right now. Like this is so weird. 'Cause I've been backstage at so many rock shows that doesn't faze me anymore. But you throw me backstage with characters have their toys that I grew up playing with. That's different. I'm like, whoa, this isn't like normal for me. Like, I don't.
Way cooler. Yeah, I agree.
It's so much cooler. Like, I hung out in Sting's green room for a second, like right before they went out, and him and Darby and Sting's sons were, going over what they were about to do and stuff. And
dude, it was an incredible night for sure. Was that your first time in that arena?
No, I saw. Do you remember the match where Darby, CM Punk, and Sting teamed up, and they all wore the face paint and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was in Greensboro Auditorium, and I had gone to that. Yeah, I had been there before.
I was just wondering if you had any childhood memories of it as well. How far from where you grew up is that?
About 2.5 hours. I used to see it on TV, obviously, stuff like that, but I never like got to go there. I went and hung out with POD and Papa Roach there. So another memory I have from that place, but that's about it.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Yeah. I asked because, as I said, it seems like a place you might have seen, and as you mentioned, you grew up being a wrestling fan. I mean, that was the whole reason why, Steve Borden, got to pick that arena was because of his historical value for the match he had, back in the day with Ric Flair, who you already mentioned too. Huge, few matches actually back then. You mentioned that you were a fan of Sting before you became best friends with the man Steve Borden. What were some of your favorite moments in Sting's career? I mean, we were just talking about his last match. What a magical night that was. They got the promo that ran through a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, Darby was able to put our song from our new album on in that thing too. So it was a really cool moment to be there for that. But just going through and thinking about all of those, all those things that he's accomplished, and kind of, for years he was WCW's Hulk Hogan, before he went to the Crow character and everything, and had started his career earlier on in the 80s doing the NWA stuff and fighting Steamboat and Flair and stuff, and obviously the early 90s rivalry with him and Vader that would happen all the time. So what were some of the earlier memories? Let's go pre-Crow Sting, and then we'll get into Crow Sting as you have him on your shirt there.
One of my favorite Sting matches is the White Castle match with Vader. It was bloody. I just love that match. I love the cheesy factor of all the skits they did leading up to it, with the whole Vader stuff and Sting being in there, and I love that. And I actually love the RoboCop thing too. I know that that's something that people find a lot of cheesiness in as well. Cheesy early 90s, late 80s wrestling is some of my favorite stuff. It's comforting to me. It just reminds me of Saturdays hanging out like with a bowl of cereal. Like, I don't know, it's a cartoon to me. I love it. So, here you go. I'm going to show you
yeah.
something. This is a lot of people's favorite. It's going to take me to here. Let's see. This is actually the original art piece. This is the art print that they used to print the shirt and the posters and the VHS and stuff for the Great American Bash 1990. Flair signed it. Sting signed it. I got a whole of these from the artist that did all of it.
Did you get that signed? Did you get that signed when you were just out there from them, or is that fresh?
Sting was like, bring that. Like, he wanted to see it because I told him original prints from like a lot of different stuff. Because one day on Facebook Marketplace, I found some old man. Sorry, that's it's an older man, and he was getting rid of all of his art that he did for WWF and WCW, and I got it all for $80. So it was just kind of cool, man. Like, I talked to the guy that originally did all that stuff for them, and now I own one kind piece. So yeah, pretty cool.
I love it, man.
I've got more too.
Yeah, show me some more. I mean, $80, and you ended up with. I mean, that's worth it right there. But you got more from that grab. That's pretty sick.
This is sick. This is the Future Shock robot Sting with Great Muta. Again, and it has everything listed as like which supposed to print or whatever on the back. I've got some Road Warrior stuff in here that he drew. What else? More other, I don't know, it's just a bunch of stuff. It's my best memorabilia, I guess. That and my action figure Sting right here. He's holding that Sting went through at his last match when the Bucks threw him through the glass.
Dude.
I got a little piece and put it in his hand.
I didn't have the foresight to grab a piece of that. I got hit with it in the chest when Darby went through it. I was like, "Oh, this." And what's funny is I haven't heard much fallout from that. I was curious if there might be a little bit more fallout because I know I was standing next to the Buck's father, and he had a little bit of blood coming down his ear.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I wonder if they're gonna get any fallout from this because anyone that was in the first couple rows next to it definitely felt those shards of glass.
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. They need to be careful with that kind of stuff. I hope they haven't hurt anybody got hurt or whatever, but I did hear that some glass went in people's drinks and stuff like that, like their cups that they had, and I was like, that's not good.
That's kind of what my thought was too. I was like, ooh, I don't know how you prepare for that. I mean, obviously you and I and a few others were there watching, as they were going through everything. I saw you by the ring, taking a picture with Steve and everything like that, and everyone kind of walking through and discussing the match and everything like that. But it's not like they, that's a one-time shot for Darby to jump off the ladder through that glass. So it's not like they did a practice run. So it's like, I don't know. I felt weird about it because being friends with Darby and Steve and just being excited about the whole thing. It was like, this is awesome. But I was a little concerned about the fallout.
I was too.
But I'm thankful I haven't heard anything. Dude, that's good.
I was in the arena watching them rehearse the match, and again, I mean, knows like they were going over it, and me and my brother were sitting there, and we saw them set up the ladder in the ring, and then Darby was talking, and he was like, and then I'll go up there, and I'll go that way and dive off, and I was like, what? Like, what are they about? Like, with all these panes of glass and stuff, and dude, do you remember they showed Darby's back on the screen, and blood just started pouring out, and you heard the whole crowd just, like.
Oh, yeah. It was brutal. He got stitches immediately after that. Like, he had to go back and get that. I hung out with him afterwards, and I wanted to poke it so bad. I wanted to poke his wound so bad. This was obviously after I knew that he was okay. I was like, I just want to, like a fresh tattoo. When someone gets a fresh tattoo, you want to just slap it a little bit. But I refrained.
Yeah. Dude, I wanted to connect with him. You'll have to intro me, man, if you're down. I wanted to connect with him, talk in a second when we were in the green room. And then I was like, well, yeah, we'll catch up after the match. And then after the match, I felt really weird because he was covered in blood. And I'm like, this dude right now. Like, we got a picture together real quick because I was standing there with Steve, and Darby was just talking to him, and I said, "Can you get a photo?" And he was totally cool about it. And I was trying to tell him, and he was like, "Oh, Sting showed me." He's like, "I know," and I was like, "Oh, okay." So, but yeah, I would like to talk to him because I know that he shoots music videos and stuff, and I wanted to kind of work with him about maybe doing one for us and getting us to do stunts or something. So
Yeah, man. I mean, that's where he went to school for
yeah,
film before it became, and he was always, skateboarding stunts and everything, and then got into
yeah.
wrestling. And yeah, he's a
He
great dude. We became pretty good friends after he came on the show years ago, and then we stayed in touch. And then now he comes anytime he's in Southern California doing one of his many things, one of his many projects. He stays at the house, and it's really fun to have that friendship with him. It's a great.
they borrowed your car, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like Sting borrowed your
Yeah.
car.
That
Dude,
was
that
the
was
first
sick.
time I met Steve. Was he came to the house? I don't know why. We were gonna meet at like this spot. Like Darby was like, "Hey, me and Stinger could come out and shoot a promo." This is after I become friends with Darby for a while, and he knew my car. He was like, "Dude, that's a sick car. I love that car. It's been in a couple of Avenged Sevenfold music videos as well." And so he's like, "Oh, can we use the car?" I was like, "Of course." I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "You're gonna fly all the way out to Southern California to use?" I mean, there's other cars that are
Right.
pretty cool in other places that are very cool, but of course, the honor of being
Yeah.
a part of something like that, even in a small way. And then he brings Steve over to the house and introduces him in my driveway, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hi, nice to meet you." Trying to play it cool,
Yeah.
of course. This is like you, someone I grew up watching and idolizing, and know very much of his career. And then we drove, another 30, 40 minutes away to the site where we ended up filming that. I'm like, we could have just met there, but I mean, I guess it is cooler that I got to meet Steve at my house first. Um, but yeah, they ended up
Oh yeah,
using
I think
that.
that's sweet. Did he have the paint on and everything?
Not yet. So that's how I first met Steve, was as Steve. That's why I feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
calling him Steve and not Sting, because that's how I met him first.
Yeah,
And then
that's how I talked to him.
yeah, and then he was when we got to the site, him and Darby started putting their paint on, and then they shot the first one, and then they came back out and not that long ago for another one, and wanted to use the same car, and I was like, yeah, of course, let's go. And we went back to the same spot and
Anything Sting needs, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then I got to hang out with them a little bit when they were here at the Forum a couple years back,
Yeah.
when AEW was just here for Dynamite. And then on my birthday was one of the when they teamed up with Adam Copeland for that one last
was
year. Just really cool. Just cool. As you know, it's just cool because as you mentioned, we grew up on Saturday mornings having bowls of cereal. Cartoons were
Yeah.
over. Now we're watching
Yep.
wrestling.
Yep.
It's and I grew up the same way.
Captain Planet would go, and then WCW
Absolutely. Yeah. I had it a few
Yep.
hours later. I would watch Superstars first because I was on the West Coast and everything was a few hours later.
Oh, that's true.
Or was it vice versa? Was it what? Now I'm trying
As a
to
kid.
remember because maybe it was they aired it 3 hours earlier.
I'm living in the future for you. You're living in the past for me. That's the way I always look at it. So I'm 3 hours ahead of you, but I know what the future's like, bro.
Yeah. No, that was a fun time though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, even the early night before the Monday Night Wars even began, and Hulk Hogan and Macho Man had come over and really people started recognizing WCW, because before that in the early 90s, if you weren't in a wrestling household or at least on the eastern part of the country, you probably didn't see
Right.
much WCW. I only got it because my grandparents were big baseball fans, so they got the
Gotcha.
Turner Sports
Yeah.
package with their cable. So I would watch it over at my grandma's house. And that's how I got my WCW fix.
Dude, growing up in the South, it was, Ric Flair country is what they call it. And so we were, it's like WCW down here. It was not the Northern wrestling. Everything was like Ric Flair, Sting, Dusty Rhodes. Like that was all of our stuff. And oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. I'll tell you, like, I have so many cool Sting stories. Like I have a million of them. Like we did a music video with him.
Yeah, for Crazy World. I wanted to ask about
yeah.
it. Was that the same figure that's at the beginning of the music video that you just showed me?
No. That one I have it up there, but it's a Sting figure in the style of Masters of the Universe.
That's right. And you also have
Skeletor.
Skeletor. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought Skeletor versus Sting would be kind of a cool match. But the coolest thing that put me in the Scorpion Deathlock at IHOP. We went to IHOP with him because he wanted pancakes, and he put me in the Scorpion Deathlock in the front of IHOP, and I just always think that's the funniest sentence. Like, yeah, Sting put me at IHOP. So,
that's
story,
fantastic. Man. So real quick though, you mentioned the music video that he was in for you guys, Crazy World. I watched the video this morning actually to refresh because I watched it. It came out in 2020.
Yeah.
But my question there though was like, when did you first meet Steve? Did you already have the relationship before he was in the music video?
Yeah. So we were on tour with Papa Roach in 2015, and I was really bored one day. We were in a hotel taking a shower or something, and I was laying across the bed, and everything ever. I just thought, I wonder if celebrities still do like autographs and stuff for like fans if they like message them. So I emailed his manager. I just found his manager like at the time, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a big fan of Sting. This is probably the nerdiest thing ever, but does he do any type of like autographs if you send like fan mail or something?" A band called Islander. I'm just a big fan. We share the same faith, and I left my phone number, and then his manager just called me like, literally like 30 minutes, and he said, "Hey, what's the deal with this?" And I was just like, "Dude, I wasn't trying to bother you. I just literally was seeing if this worked." And he was like, "Well, is your band ever coming to Dallas?" And I said, "We're gonna be there." And he said, "How about I do this? I'll just bring Sting to the show." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Well, I'll ask him. I'll see if he wants to come." So then I woke up that morning, and I had a text that said, "Hey, we'll be there tonight. Have us passes waiting." And had him passes waiting. Sting literally came to the show. He came after we played, which I was really grateful for because he was going to show up and it would end up somehow being a bad show. But then I was bummed that he didn't get to the show because the show ended up being like amazing. But either way, he came out to the show. He brought me some of his rings. We sat and talked for about an hour, and he gave me his number and was just like, "Yeah, good to meet you, dude." And he's like, "Stay in touch with me." He's like, "We're going to work together." Weirdest, like, why did this dude even take it upon himself to drive 45 minutes or whatever to come meet somebody that he didn't even know? That's how cool Sting, like, all the stories are true. Like, Steve is awesome. So we stayed in touch from then on, and anytime we were in Dallas on tour, he would just be like, "Y'all want to meet for lunch?" And we would meet for sushi or tacos or like pancakes. And one time he put me in the Scorpion death drop at the mall, but he didn't death drop me, but he like pulled my head back and like,
oh, he just held you.
Yeah.
He just held you.
I was like, "Drop me."
I was gonna say, man, I don't know if you could take that hit.
No, not yet. But yeah, I did that, and then I said, "Hey, man, I would love to have you in a music video sometime if you're down." And he said, "What?" He goes, "You guys ever write like a ballad or anything?" He's like, "I'll do it." He's like, "Let's do something like out of the norm for you guys." So we had a softer song, and we sent it to him, and we were like, "You can do this?" And he was like, "Yep." So we flew to Dallas, rented that Airbnb that's in the video, and he drove to the shoot, didn't charge us anything, brought all his gear, kits and everything, painted himself up, spent the whole day with us, and then he drove off. And I literally started tearing up when he was leaving because I was like, "Why is he so nice?" It was just weird to me, like
tears of joy.
Yeah,
tears
of
joy.
Tears of
That's
joy.
So rad, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, that takes me to the song that I wanted to ask you about that you released in December of last year. Yeah, Kayfabe. So you got to get on the other side of Kayfabe with Steve, and on the other side of the other side of Kayfabe with Sting, and knowing Steve and becoming and befriending him. Yeah. What is this song about for you?
So the song, this is an interesting one. So the song was written with the idea, nobody knows this yet, but it was written with the idea of having on it because we had been talking about doing a song. We had toured together, and he was totally down to do it and everything. And then, he ended up taking up some stuff or whatever, tours and whatnot, and the song ended up needing to be finished because we were literally finishing the record. So we just went on without him with it. Not in that he could do the song's awesome. Like, let me know however I can promote it or whatever, and we'll work together in the future. And the song is about being an adult, but not feeling like an adult all the time. I'm always having to keep kayfabe. Like, I'm always having to act like I know what I'm doing in this world, and I get kind of tired of it. And so there's a part in the song where it keeps saying, you better get out of my face, or you'll end up lying on the ground and all this stuff. It's not supposed to be tough guy. It's supposed to be, this is my insecurity, so I'm saying this thing. Because anytime somebody's like, whatever, it's really insecurity, I feel like. So it's trying to express, I'm insecure a lot. I have imposter syndrome. All these things I deal with, and I don't want to know it. Deep down, I just feel like this kid that's sitting in my man cave with a bunch of action figures, and I don't really know what I'm doing half the time. I'm having to get insurance on our new van, or call and get the LLC changed over to this or that. I'm just like, I don't know how to do any of this. I'm just kayfabing my way through this life. So that's what the song's about.
Well, I think that's something that everyone can empathize with, or every adult can, because you still feel like, I agree for myself as well. I still feel like that 12-year-old kid. I mean, especially when we're talking wrestling, going back to the nostalgia of it all. I mean, I like to keep that close to my heart, especially now with my 7-year-old son into wrestling. And he brought me really back into it, that and some
That's
friends being in it, Darby and Chris Jericho and that, and AEW. And man, wrestling's been a great time right now. It's did you watch Dynasty?
Oh, man. I did. I thought it was a fantastic pay-per-view. It's one of my favorites. Will Ospreay right now is my dude. Him and Both. Love them. I love Darby. I miss him. Can't wait till he's healed up and back.
Yep.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm okay. So I'm just gonna say it. I'm an AEW guy. AEW. I love the vibe, but I do like WWE. I'm not somebody that's just like hating on it or whatever. Like, I love Cody Rhodes so much. I love a lot of the things that they do. Obviously have more means to do a bigger production, and they're more well known. But AEW, there's just something about it that reminds me of what I grew up with, and I think that even Sting coming in and putting his stamp of approval on it, it's because it felt familiar and it felt comfortable to be a part of something like that. And he is the Sting of this generation. I don't know how everybody feels about that or whatever, but I'm like, his action figure comes with a skateboard. Sting's action figure comes with that. He's got the face paint. He's got that, face vibe. He's a good guy. There's just something about him that reminds me of the good guy with the dark side. Intense.
The good guy with the dark side, like the Crow Sting. The good guy with the dark. Yeah, man. I agree. Yeah, and I will say as well, I am also a WWE fan. I mean, as I said before, I was, WWF was my first love. I found WCW. I loved both of them. The Monday Night Wars was probably my all-time favorite time of watching wrestling. Only second to now, because there is such great wrestling on both organizations. Did you watch WrestleMania like everybody else who's a wrestling fan?
Yes, I did. I didn't like the first night that much, but the second night was a banger. Obviously, the main event was amazing. I love watching all the TikTok videos of people freaking out about Taker showing up.
Oh, so good.
I did think it was going to be Stone Cold, like everybody else. I'm sure everybody thought that, but
at least you still got Cena.
Cool.
Everyone thought it was going to be Cena and Stone Cold after the Raw, where they had lit the trucks with both of them on it when The Rock was beating the hell out of Cody there. So cool to see The Rock, though.
Dude, I still think it might have. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that it might have been the plan to have Stone Cold, but just saying, trying to make sure you have stable internet. That's weird because I have a really good connection. It's showing up.
Very odd. Well, it seems to be working okay enough for us to put a bow on this. Again, thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah.
We definitely have to exchange each other's numbers and stuff, so we can keep in touch, talk a little bit more. I'd like to get more into Crow sting and what that meant for you. And real quick, I guess the question I should ask last here, which persona is your favorite Sting?
Crow. It's the one that I have the most nostalgia for. The Crow. Yeah, that's the one that was my
last
hero.
Dynamite where he came in from the top again.
Dude.
That last Dynamite with all the bats hanging in and he came in from the that was so cool.
I was 11 years old all over again when that happened. I was just like, man. So, yeah. Dude, you know what?
And so are you caught up in AEW then?
Yeah.
Did you watch last night?
I didn't watch I watched all the highlights.
What did you think about Tony Khan?
Dude, I like that direction because nobody saw it coming. I know everybody's always like, oh man, he thinks he's Eric Bitter, he thinks he's Vince or whatever, and I'm just like, guys, it's pro wrestling. Like, just have fun. Like, just have fun with it and see where the story goes. And I think the AEW, I think they have needed to work on their storytelling a little bit because their wrestling is already perfect in my opinion. But
great in-ring stuff,
yeah, and I just think that it was a good move. I think that who doesn't like see the boss get thrown around? Like, everybody likes that.
Yeah, that's why it stood the test of time and some of my favorite moments in both WCW and WWF back in the day. I like the storyline. I like to see how they're going to change it up a little bit as wrestling fans. That this isn't the first time a general story has been regurgitated. We're also on music. It's not the first time music is regurgitated and put together with a new spin.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's I don't think that's anything to overly be critical of, but I will say the bump he took. I wish it was a little bit better of a bump. When I watched it back, I was like, that could have been better.
Agree.
That could have been better for sure. And I'm friends with
I
Tony,
agree.
but I gotta be real.
Yeah.
That could have been a better bump. And
yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought that he should have wiggled his legs a little bit or looked like he was trying to get out of it or something.
Something.
Hey, like, he's not a pro wrestler.
Yeah. And to your point, let's see where the storyline goes. That's just the beginning of it,
Yeah.
So, again, man, I appreciate your time, Mikey. Like I said, we'll keep in touch. We got to take another deeper dive on just some wrestling. Maybe one of these next pay-per-views coming up. We'll do a watch along or something like that.
I would love that, man. I can talk wrestling all day. I like talking wrestling more than music.
Same here, man. That's why I started a podcast. So I talk to musicians, don't get me wrong, but I really enjoy talking about wrestling with wrestlers and other musicians like yourself that are into it. It's, again, very cool time. Yeah. So thanks again, man. Thanks to everyone at home for watching. Dude. And until next time, as always.
Yeah. Real quick. I just want to say.
Oh, go ahead, man.
I don't mean to mess up your outro. I just want to say.
No. It's
thank you so much for having me on your show. Thank you to everybody watching. And I'm so sorry for the dark circles under my eyes. I've literally been up over 24 hours. As soon as I get off here, I'm going to go back to editing the music video that's coming out tomorrow. So yeah, that's where we're at. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and everyone go check out this music video because by the time you see this, it's already out. The Ritual of Death. Go find out more about the West Memphis Three and the awareness that Islanders bring into it. And again, more in wrestling and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it again, as always. Till next time. Cheers.